played this game on a PS4 version because I wanted to see how it looked and played when it came out, and it still looks good, mostly. As far as the graphic fidelity is concerned, it definitely looks like a last gen game, but it was still pretty. I think the sound effects were a bit lackluster though. My hits didn't really feel that impactful. This is an overlooked part of game design in my opinion. Although it wasn't terrible, it would have been better if my attacks had more weight behind it. The combat was decent enough, although it is a bit slow for my liking. I wish the max sensitivity was higher, and the camera isn't the greatest. I think it's too close for combat. I also find myself adjusting the camera manually a lot during combat, and that shouldn't really happen. And I don't like how the autolock doesn't automatically switch to another enemy when you defeat one. That's kind of annoying and makes the sword combat feel kind of clunky. I only found the autolock useful when I was fighting only one enemy at a time. But when you're fighting multiple enemies, it feels much less useful and even clunky at times. By far I prefer the sword combat. I rarely ever use my bow or stealth except for when I needed to. And I found the mandatory stealth sections kind of tedious because it slows the pacing down too much. The stealth is pretty basic. You distract enemies and either assassinate them or move by undetected. There's also the focus hearing mechanic that lets you see enemies behind walls, and yeah, that's the stealth. There are different enemy types that you encounter. There's the guys with swords, spears, shields, archers, the brutes, and the dogs. And there's different stances to use for different enemy types to break their guards. Although the stances didn't really feel that different to me. I just knew that certain stances were needed to break the guards of certain enemies. The stances serve no purpose outside of that. I wish this mechanic had more depth. I played this game on medium and the difficulty was mostly fine. The enemies telegraph their moves pretty well and there are clear counters to their attacks. That is until the boss fight with Koden Khan. I think it was a little annoying and the punishment windows for him weren't always clear and consistent. But other than that, the game seemed mostly fair. The open world is bad. It's a barren wasteland. The only good thing about it is the fact that it looks nice graphically. The activities within the open world were very sparse and it's not dense enough. The world is way too big for the amount of content there is. There were no landmarks that caught my attention or made me want to explore it. The traversal was boring. You either travel by foot or by a pretty slow horse. This wouldn't be too bad if the open world wasn't so empty. So if you're not going to make the open world interesting, at least let us travel it quickly. And yes, I know there's fast travel, but there's still going to be a lot of times where you're traveling manually. We eventually get this little hook, grapple thing that lets us swing between ledges, which is pretty neat I guess. But other than that, the traversal was pretty basic and I used fast travel as much as I could.